So my name is Malle Koido and I'm a football agent working as managing director of Sporting 11. So my path to being a football agent has been quite a long journey. I was a very strange kid, so around the age of 15 I looked around myself within a football environment because obviously I used to play and be involved in football from quite a young age. And I decided that probably for me working on the business side of football would be the right path. And then I came across a man who was working around the football community, and he was an agent. So naturally I sat him down and I asked him what to actually do. And what do you need to know, what do you need to be aware of, what kind of skills you need to be good at this job. And after that I felt that this might actually be the right thing for me, because I was very keen to stay involved in football, wasn't really good enough to play at a high level. And I felt like I had the right skill set to actually be successful in a role where you help to steer players' careers, give them advice. In my day-to-day role in Sporting 11, I look after athletes' interests as well as working for clubs, which is quite a big part of the job, which starts from going out to scout and discover the right players to represent, the ones who we feel have potential to play at the highest level, signing them up, looking after their career in the current club, if they need a move, setting this up, doing the contract, as well as looking after commercial interests, brand contracts. But also quite a big part of it is the club side of things, where clubs come to you to place a particular player or to try and get a particular player. We have quite a lot of expertise in South America, which is quite unique because we have people on the ground in countries like Colombia, Mexico, Brazil. Especially with Colombia, it's a market that not a lot of agents work in. So when it comes to signing Colombian players or even getting intelligence on them, we are often the place that the clubs come to get this information and get the deal done. And that's actually also a part of the job I really enjoy. Well, in football, your network is everything. It's absolutely everything. It's all about who knows who works with who. And to be a successful agent and to represent players and clubs, your network is actually your primary selling tool. In terms of building up your network, obviously if you played at some level, that's very helpful because you'll know a lot of players and people on the football side of the game. Or if you've been working in clubs and football organizations, that's also a good way to build up your network. Because also for a lot of agents, this is a second career. They tend to come from law, from business, and from other disciplines, and they might decide at the age of around 40, hey, I have a lot of contacts in football, why don't I leverage them? Now, if you're a young person starting out, your family don't come from football, you don't have any contacts, you haven't played at any significant level. This is often a big challenge, especially something that I see with young people coming in to work for our company. For me, I feel the best thing is just to go out there and show your face as much as you can in the football environment. You can start off by, for example, going down to 18s games, going down to 23s games, going to smaller venues where people who work in the game are more accessible. And you just need to have the courage to walk up to people, introduce yourself, tell them what you do, and build up relationships that way. And essentially your contact book is everything. Because if your player one day comes up to you and says, listen, this club isn't working for me anymore, I'm not getting enough game time, I need a move, then you instantly need to have everybody on your fingertips who you can call and contact and make things happen for a client. So networking is absolutely everything, and I would say the most important part of the job to be successful. Obviously different disciplines require different skills. You can go down the law pathway or the business pathway or the media pathway. There are many different pathways. I think the most important thing really is to be extremely passionate about what you're doing and wanting to actually do a good job, because if your passion is evident, then the people around you see you, and that's where different opportunities open up for yourself to progress and to go further. Whereas if you're doing something just because of that's the only thing available, or that's just a job for you, 9 to 5, again, that becomes evident because the sports industry is so competitive. So many people want to work in it. So many people at the highest level. If you look at the top managers, if you look at the top chief executives, top agents, they're completely obsessed with the industry. They work almost 24 hours a day. Your weekends are not your own. So you need to absolutely love it and be obsessed with the industry, and not just with the game, with the sports, but also with your particular area, whether it's media, whether it's business, whether it's law, to make an impact and to be noticed. To be honest, I've been quite fortunate to work in teams like Leicester City, working with different national teams, working for Nike Football, working with many different players. But for me, the big names, the celebrity doesn't really impress me too much. It's about the process. And I think in all of this, what's maybe the greatest recognition overall is when, as a young person, you look up to someone and you see that person doing a really good job, being on top of their game. And then maybe 5 years later, you're actually working with them, alongside them, and partnering with them in a deal, or working with them as a peer. And they can recognize that you do a good job and that you've done something to work on a similar level as them. So for students coming out of university to make it in the sports agency industry is actually very, very hard. I remember when I was about 20, 21 years old and I was trying to do my placement there, I was trying to do this in a football agency, and I sent a lot of CVs out and got next to no response. Because what you have to take into account is football agents actually are very small businesses. Very few of them have more than 20 employees. So often they don't have time to train the young graduates, to give them a chance, to show them ropes. I think you almost have to be proactive, and even when you're a student, you should put yourself in the environment of football agents, in terms of going to games, in terms of trying to network with scouts, in terms of trying to get meetings with clubs, understand how they work, understand what could be that unique selling point for you to approach them from. And just really upskilling in terms of knowing all the law around it, knowing all the regulations, knowing how the transfer market works, having a lot of market knowledge in terms of salaries, transfer values, what different clubs look for, playing styles, having as much information as possible. But at the end of the day, to get into a good agent environment, you either need to know the people in there very well and they have to have belief in you, or you need to actually be able to offer them clients. So it might actually be the case where you put yourself in the environment, you feel out to see whether it's actually for you, because it's also a very intense environment. It's not just all going to games and seeing players and talking to the chairman and negotiating. It's also very much about sitting in the office and doing mundane things day to day to stay up to date with the industry and be relevant. And give it a go. See how you feel in the environment. See if you actually feel confident doing a sales pitch for a player, standing your ground against people who have 20, 30 years more experience than you. But I would actually recommend for people to maybe go into agency a little bit later. I feel like at the age of 20, 21, if you're advising somebody who is already 27, 28, playing at the highest level of the game, how much can you really offer them? I feel like you need to have a little bit of life experience, you need to have a little bit of exposure to different parts of the game. You need to have something to offer to your client which they don't already have. And I feel like that comes with years, and I feel like you never really need about 5-6 years, maybe in a corporate environment, maybe in a business environment, in a football environment, before you can really make the jump to agency and actually make an impact and be successful and offer something to the clients. I think football for a lot of people means community. From when you're 7, 8 years old and you're playing football with your friends, near your house, to when you first go into club training sessions, and you just meet a lot of people and you build a group of friends, and later on in life you might be going to games and you might sit next to the same people at the stadium, and you know their faces, you say hello to them and you see them outside games. It's a real big community, and it's just something really, really nice that unites people and offers a lot of emotion. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why a lot of people find it very attractive to work in. Just having that dose of something positive, something that brings people together, something that makes a massive, massive impact in society overall for many, many people, day to day. And I feel like that's one of the reasons. But equally, you have to think about whether you just love football or whether you actually enjoy working in it, because these two are quite different things. For quite a lot of people working in football, at some point they might lose the love for it because they see the kitchen side of it, and it's not always as fun and as emotional, as cohesive as maybe enjoying football as a player or as a fan, as a supporter. But I think just football has this unique power of bringing people together and offering something in their day-to-day lives that makes them happy.